Hang on. How you doing? You all? You all right? How you going? Hi Dan. How you going?
There's a seat here, this is not good person to my head.
All right, folks. Not sure if there are microphones or not.
There's one here, cool.
Yeah, you're filming there. Only one. Okay, thanks everyone. Pat Cummins before third test starting you at Headingley tomorrow. Hands up for the question. Please let us know where the mic is because we can't always see it from this end. So it's there. Bring on over here to
Microphone's coming.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, there's obviously been a lot of discussion out of Lords and leading into this Test match. There were concerns about the crowd at Lords to the point I understand that family members of players and support staff sort of either had to be moved or left. I just wondered what steps you guys have asked to take in this game to make sure that the crowd doesn't get out of hand.
Honestly, I know as much as you do. Yeah, we haven't really spoken about it at all. Yeah, we're in our partner period here, so we've got loads of family and kids around. So I think there might be an extra eye on them, kind of where they are in the crowd, just to make sure everything's fine, but nothing too different.
Pat, there's obviously been a lot of talk about what happened on Sunday with Jonny Bairstow, but have you been disappointed that your integrity has been called into question in recent days?
It doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I said the other day, I think the way our team's conducted themselves over the last couple of years has been flawless, really. We've been fantastic, and I think that shined again on day 5 at Lords.
Pat, given going back a while with the sandpaper gate thing, a lot of people have raised the question, was an opportunity missed by you to have done something positive by withdrawing the appeal? Would have taken the heat off. A lot of people the critics would have gone on the back foot, might have taken the booing levels right down tomorrow, but instead it's gone the other way, potentially. Would you agree with that?
I mean, there's been talk this week about the underarm incident. I think that was 1970s. You know, how far do you want to go back? We've all moved on. As I said the other day, the team did nothing wrong, so we're all comfortable.
Yeah. You've never, in the 3 or 4 days, you've not thought that if I'd done that, maybe, you know, it would have been a positive step and shushed a few people up?
I don't think that's the aim of playing cricket.
Pat, you don't need me to remind you what happened here last time. What do you think when you walk through the gates at Headingley? What's like the first thing on your mind?
I actually haven't been out in the field yet. Just walked through the change room, and yeah, that was the first thing you think of was 2019, which was a tough Test match, but also a fantastic Test match. Yeah, that day 4 was crazy. So yeah, mixed emotions. I think you know, I remember at the time. First emotions obviously disappointed because the Test match has gone away, but you do know it's one of those moments that's going to be replayed for a long, long time, and in some regards felt lucky that I was in the middle of it.
Have you enjoyed the fact that it's your delivery that's played over and over again, that last one, for 4 years? And is there a bit of motivation there to, for Australia at least, have a new clip that's played over and over again?
Yeah, no, there is. I remember at the time thinking, if I hang it outside off, there might be a chance to nick it. And of course, yeah, you just see it. I've seen it about 1,000 times in the last 4 years. So, I mean, yeah, it was a fantastic Test match. The first 2 of this series have been fantastic. So, I'm sure that memory will be brought up quite a bit, just like 2005 was brought up at Edgbaston. But yeah, we've well and truly moved past that.
Yes. Start passing it back around, guys. Unfortunately, looks like So yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll do a quick one and then pass it around. Is that okay? Pat, 3 words that have come up a lot in the last few days are spirit of cricket, and people were asking where that was in the long room at lunchtime on Sunday. I absolutely take that on board. Do you think the spirit of cricket is a real thing, or is it just like a myth that we like to imagine exists? That goes off when we mention the spirit of cricket. I take it, I'll rehash the question.
Yeah.
I take it absolutely that people have been wondering on lots of different examples of where was the spirit of cricket. Do you think the spirit of cricket is a real thing, or is it a myth that we just like to think exists?
I 100% think it's a real thing. I think at times, there's nuance to it, and everyone might see it a little bit differently, which is fine. That's part of it. But no, absolutely, I think that's one of the beauties of our sport. It's, you talk about it's a gentleman's sport. You want to maintain respect for the opposition at all times, the umpires, fans, the game. So I think it's one of the strengths of our game.
Sorry, and you think that was upheld at Lords? I mean, because people might wonder if you had any personal embarrassment about that in the days that have followed.
I think our players were outstanding in that regard, yeah.
Pat, hi. Captain Todd Murphy in his first series and his first test in India, different conditions. What did you make of him, not just as a bowler, but just as a person? As the series went on, he grew in confidence.
Yeah, he was fantastic in India. I thought his composure for a debutant was fantastic. He's quite clever. He's got a few different tricks. He mixes up his pace well. He's not afraid to try new things over the wicket, around the wicket. So really excited to see how he goes this week. Again, he's still young, starting out his career, but he seems pretty well accomplished and lots of tricks, and hopefully we'll see a really confident Todd out there.
Scott.
Pat, can I just check firstly, have you got an 11 yet, or are you still weighing up where to go?
No, not an 11 yet. Murph will come in for Nath, but we're just going to work through a couple other guys today, mainly just having a look at how everyone's recovered.
Gotcha. And just one on, I guess, it's an interesting shaped ground in the short boundary straight, obviously like shortish corner at that end, if you know what I'm saying. Does that change the way the short pitch bowling works? Like, do you have to only bowl it from one end or things like that? Like, does that enter into the tactics, and could we see more conventional cricket if that's the case?
Yeah, I think that's fair. At Lords there's deep pockets, so wherever you're bowling, it felt like, other than that last day with the wind blowing down there, that was really the only pocket that you felt like you get really hurt. So I think that's, fair. You got to think about it a bit more, which boundaries you kind of try and get the batters to hit to. I understand, the corners are a little bit smaller here, so I'll go and walk out there in a bit.
Dean.
I think with the Jonny Bairstow incident, everybody agrees that technically it was out. Why do you think that some people think so candidly that the spirit of cricket was ignored, and why do you think that your players were exemplary with the spirit of cricket? Those are two quite diametrically opposite sides when dealing with this.
I think there's issues that come up every Ashes series where you have the same opinions. English fans think one thing, Australian fans think the opposite. In terms of our players, I thought the way they conducted themselves in the long room was fantastic. I think even the Mitchell-Starc decision the night before, the way our boys accepted the decision and moved on from it really quickly was really good.
And obviously things happen in the heat of the moment, and you've had time to reflect. Would you do the same thing again if presented with the opportunity here?
Yeah.
There's Dan down the front here, guys. You can ask a question on the way if you like. I think we've probably covered off Lords enough now, boys and girls.
Well, I was going to say, do you think the England players' reaction to what happened and the fact that they thought you should have withdrawn the appeal is a smokescreen of the fact they lost the match and are 2-0 down in the series?
Yeah, you'd have to ask them.
Sorry, one more on that. Brendan McCullum says that he thinks you might regret it as time goes on, just the way he regretted a similar sort of incident in his career. Do you think you might have the case? And as Dean says, are you sure you'd do exactly the same thing if it happened again?
Yeah, you have to ask me in the future.
You don't think he might have a point, Brendan?
At the moment, I'm really comfortable with it. So yeah, maybe down the track.
Pat, obviously England have rejigged their team quite dramatically for this game. Harry Brook in particular batting at 3. Always seems to have been something happening whenever he's been at the crease in this series. Can you reflect on sort of how you guys have bowled to him the first few tests, and more specifically, I suppose, your little sort of 3-ball duel with him, second innings Lords?
Yeah. Again, I think so much of the previous battles will look a lot differently when the conditions are different. I think to date, in some ways, we've probably haven't had the conditions totally in our favour when it's been our turn to bowl. There hasn't been much swing on offer for us, certainly no seam. So, your options are a little bit more limited. I thought at times he's looked really good out there. He's obviously someone that likes to, try and score runs at a decent clip. So, I don't know really what else to say. I was pretty happy. One with the delivery I bowled, but to get him out there at Lords, because he's a dangerous player if he gets on a roll.
Pat, you touched on a couple of guys in the frame for selection. Is it oversimplifying it to say that it's between Boland and Hazelwood, given the workload concerns and Scott's obviously on the box seat to return? Yeah,
that's one of it. And again, haven't made a decision, so literally the last couple of days, us bowlers haven't been here. We've been chilling out, so we'll get together this afternoon and talk through a few different scenarios, really.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.